Hey, what's going on, everybody? Yours truly, Johnny Belize, and welcome to the evolution of RPG. Today, I'm joined by none other than RX Oliver.
Hello, evening Johnny, afternoon Johnny.
So, hey, listen, the question that everybody always asks, when were you first, we were all introduced some way or another to RPGs. When were you first introduced to role-playing games?
So my first introduction to proper tabletop role-playing games came from the same person that introduced me to the things that came before that. The things that came before that were the board games, Hero Quest and Space Crusade, things like this. So like more advanced board games like that space between board games and then Warhammer. That little slot there, that's where I very first started, and it was my uncle, thank you to my Uncle Stuart, that got me into it, right? Shout out to that man, he started everything. He let me join a game of Dungeons and Dragons with him and his friends when I was about 14. So about 1998. He was 10 years older than me, and a lot of his friends were older, so I was a kid playing with a bunch of adults, and it was absolutely amazing. So about 1998, I was first introduced to Dungeons and Dragons by my uncle and his friends. We had a great time. I absolutely fell in love with the game and have been in love with the gaming with tabletop RPGs ever since.
You know, it's funny you say that. Again,
25
everybody
years
was
ago.
introduced by... What's that?
It's 25 years ago. If it was about 1998, that's a long time, man.
Well, I don't want to give you a heart attack if I tell you what year I started.
Well,
it wasn't too far. It wasn't too far off.
Go on then. What was yours?
So I started probably I'm going to say 1988, 1989.
10 years before me.
Yeah. So
And you're about 10 years older than me, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, now I was a jock. Like I was a sports guy, and I was never. I didn't even know what Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't know what none of that stuff was.
Yeah, I was the nerd.
I mean, good friends of mine were playing, and they said they invited me over, and from the first game, I was hooked, man. Yeah. Totally hooked.
Nice.
So let me ask you this.
I wasn't a total nerd in high school. I was halfway between a jock there because I played football, or what you would call soccer. I was on the soccer team. But yeah, I was a bit of a nerd. I grew up on thinking the Lord of the Rings was the greatest thing ever. And when I found out you could get dwarves and elves and play a game with them, that was it. Hooked. Yeah.
Dude, I 100% agree, because after I did that, I actually wound up, purchasing the Lord of the Rings book and the Hobbit. And dude, like I said, I was 100% hooked. But let me ask you this question: do you remember your first character playing?
Oh yeah. We'll never forget my first character. So my first character in a tabletop RPG was Bori, a dwarf fighter in Dungeons and Dragons. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition, that's when I started. That was still coming out when I think 3rd edition was out, but 2.5 they were still making stuff for 2, and that's where I started, because that was with my uncle Ryan, and I had a dwarf fighter named Bori, and when he got to level 3 he was known as Bori Drowslayer, and he died at level 4. He was rolled 3d6 and choose, and I got an 18 and put it on Constitution, so this first ever character had a 19 Constitution, and I rolled really well for hit points every level. I think at level 4 I had over 50 hit points, so he was a tank. He
was a stud.
Yeah, he was great, but he died at level 4 to a giant spider, sadly. But that was my first character ever. Yeah, Bori Drowslayer, the dwarf fighter, and dwarfs have been my favourite ever since as well.
And that, again, not knowing anything about RPGs, mine as well happened to be a dwarf, and his name was Malibu. Nice. Have no idea how he died. I don't remember. But it's amazing. I'm 50 years old, and so you figure I was, maybe 14, 15 years old. And I mean, that's how much that RPGs have become a part of some people's lives, that you can remember something from that long ago.
I was pre-hooked on dwarves, I think. And I think it came from... So, Warhammer came slightly before D&D, and I collected dwarves. But I think that came from the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, and thinking that the dwarves were the best thing in that. So yeah, I was pre-hooked on dwarves. My first character was always going to be a dwarf. Like years before I even knew what D&D was, my first character was a dwarf. It's always been in me. My friends would make jokes about my height. But
hey, I'm not.
But if my friends knew D&D really well, like if they were real nerds, they would make halfling and hobbit jokes, not dwarf jokes. So I guess.
So you mentioned Warhammer, you mentioned D&D. Now with all the other various role playing games out there, how many have you actually got into playing?
Right. So I did a quick practice run of this question, Johnny, before, and I think it's at least a dozen. So,
We
discounting
might need a
D&D.
part two on this.
So other RPGs. No, well, I'll just try go through it quick, right? So other RPGs. So without D&D, no additions of D&D included. I play regularly Call of Cthulhu and Pulp Cthulhu and Cthulhu Dark. I love Alien RPG, it's one of my favourites, and Paranoia RPG is one of my favourites. I've played a little bit of Shiver RPG. I am playing Bushido RPG from the 80s. I am playing Star Wars RPG. That's the one you're coming to join us with. Tune into my channel, folks, for my Star Wars RPG campaign. We're just 3 chapters in, and Johnny's coming to join us. And he's
Looking
coming to join the crew. So Star Wars RPG. Now, there was more when I was going through it before. What am I forgetting? I played a Marvel RPG years ago. Fate 2.0, Fate Core. I love that. It's one of my favourite games, actually. When I got back into D&D after my gap, that was like the next, when I got back into, so when I got back into D&D after the gap, I played D&D, and the next game that I played, the first new system that I ever played was Fate Core, and I fell in love with that system. I really, really like it, and I really wanted to play Call of Cthulhu for years. I bought an old 3rd edition rulebook and fantasized about playing Call of Cthulhu, and I recently got Call of Cthulhu gets a big shout out because although it's not my top favourite, it's the one I'm playing the most of just now. And shout out to my friend Andy for getting me into it. So I went to play a one shot in our FLGS. We had a friendly local gaming store for a little while, and a good friend of mine, Andy, ran a game of Call of Cthulhu one shot. I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to play that, and it was amazing, and I was hooked. Absolutely hooked, and I still play with Andy and the guys from the shop now. They are my in real life game, so that's what I play in real life. Round the table, we're actually doing Pop Cthulhu just now, but Call of Cthulhu, big shout out to that. I play a lot of that. But current favourites, Alien RPG, Paranoia, Forbidden Lands. I've played a little bit of that. I really want to play more of that because it's a free league game. The free league games are great. Soon in April, I'm going to be playing Walking Dead RPG. Here's another couple. I just remembered. I've just played. It's not out yet. Tune in. Metanthropes RPG. This is a very cool RPG that you're going to see coming out very soon. Johnny has playtested it. Johnny's playtested it with me. You're going to see it very, very soon. It's a friend of mine's wrote the game, and they've done the coolest Foundry module ever, Johnny? It is so good. And if you play tabletop RPGs online a lot and use all the different VTTs, you know that Foundry's the best. Well, they've done some very, very cool things with Foundry. And the other one is Mr. Jonathan Hicks, a British RPG writer, has done a sequel to Those Dark Places called Pressure RPG, and I was one of the very first people to play it on release. So it released on the Thursday and I played it on the Saturday. You'll find that on my YouTube channel as well. So Pressure RPG it's an indie game. Osprey Games have published it. Metanthropes RPG is going to be an indie game. I'm not sure who the publisher will be, but it's going to be so sick. Yeah, that's a couple of little games or upcoming games that I've played. I think that's all the major systems. You're going to get to like the last question. I'm going to remember something. So if I remember something, I'll try to slip it in there. But I think that's about it. It's about a dozen at least, anyway.
So since you and I met, which is maybe a couple months now,
2 months, yeah.
We've also had the honor, and I'm sure you not longer than me, we've met some great creators like John. If I'm pronouncing his name right, if not, I apologize. Legitimine.
John. Yeah.
If with Metanthropes, these guys are geniuses. And from what I've seen you and a lot of the things you've done, in my eyes, you're a genius as well. Have you ever, or do you plan on ever creating your own game system?
Well, first of all, I'm not a genius, Johnny. I'm pretty funny, but I'm by no means a genius. Anyone that's played games with me and played games where I'm the DM will tell you I'm a much better player. I'm not a writer by any means, so my games that I run are very tropey. They're very Save the Princess, Kill the Dragon, because I'm not that creative. But it's funny you mention it because I am writing something, and I'm co-writing something. So I'll tell you as much as I can tell you. So I came up with an idea. I play a lot of Call of Cthulhu one-shots, and I play a lot that are produced by small writers that are like writing their own one shots, producing them for like $1 to $10 on Drive-Thru RPG on the Miskatonic repository. I play a lot of them, and I thought I can write one of these. My story would make a scenario. So I've got a story, and then I advertised in a few places. It's particularly in one Discord where I know a lot of these writers, these scenario writers. I said, I've got the idea, but I don't know the mechanics of the game well enough to write the scenario. Who wants to be my co-writer? And I have found one, and I have an amazing co-writer. I'm not going to tell you who it is just now, because they've got a lot of stuff out on Drive-Thru RPG, and it's really, really amazing, and they're a big name they are. So I'm keeping it top secret. All I'll tell you about it is it's Call of Cthulhu. Currently, it might end up being Pulp Cthulhu, I don't think so. I think it's going to be Call of Cthulhu. It's modern era. It's set around the early 2000s, and it's set in Los Angeles around the LA River. You know the LA River? If I'm not mistaken, the LA River is not really a river, it's a big ditch, and people skateboard in it. My scenario is about skateboarding, because like I say, I'm not very creative, but I used to be a skateboarder for a long time, so I know it. It's a subject I know, so I wrote about a bunch of skateboarders in a creepy scenario. There you go, that's what I've wrote, Johnny, and I've not told anyone very much about that. That might be a bit of an exclusive for you. I'm not telling you any more than that. You're not getting the co-writer because it's too big a name.
That's just enough for that little tease.
Just that little tease, that's all you're getting, yeah.
I'll just reeling us in a little bit and then getting out the slack.
You can ask me questions if you want, how much information I give you. That's a different thing.
We're going to let everybody hang on this, because actually it sounds pretty exciting.
Progress is slow because I have so much other things on. But yeah, I'll get to it eventually. It will be out eventually. It'll be a Call of Cthulhu modern scenario. I'll release it for like 69 cents or 69 pence probably, because
that's a great number.
it's going to be short, it's going to be sweet, and it's going to be my first one, so it's going to be humble and modest. So I'm going to give it away basically. I'm not going to expect people to pay good money for it. I'll do like $1.69 or something, whatever really the minimum is. I see people doing it for $1. I like 69 number, maybe $1.69, just so I'm over the dollar. But yeah.
And I'm sure it'll be worth every penny of it.
Coming soon.
So my next question, during my life, we go from kids to teenagers to adults, and have families. And there was a portion time in my life where, again, after I graduated high school and started to become an adult, I kind of got away from the RPGs. Not that I wanted to, it just happened that way. Mm-hmm. Was there a portion of time where you actually got away from it and was reintroduced?
Oh, yeah, very much so. So, I guess the game that I played with my uncle, it was fairly regular, like a monthly thing, and it was AD&D 2E. So I guess we must have played for a while if I got to level 4. And I played a second character up to about level 2. So it was a few years I was playing. So I think I probably stopped around 2000-ish. And then I think I got back around 2010. Now, how I got back to it was just reading about it on the internet, watching videos on the internet, and thinking, I want to play Dungeons & Dragons again so much. And how I got back into it was by convincing some of my friends to play with me. Like, I didn't have any friends that played D&D, so I made my friends play D&D. Now I got very mixed up from my first campaign. I wanted to run AD&D 2nd edition, the one that I knew, but I didn't know that was AD&D 2nd edition. So I got the AD&D rulebooks, and I'm running this game, and I was totally unfamiliar. Then eventually I realised, and I transitioned a 1E game to 2E bit by bit. The characters evolved, and we changed everything. That was about, a 10-year gap, I suppose, and I'm back into it since. So that's 2010, about around then, or 2008 to 10 I got back into it. So I'm back into it 13, 15 years, I guess.
Oh, wow.
So 10 years lost is a long time, though. I wish I'd been playing all that time.
But and that's going to roll right into my next question. This is something like, it's kind of like riding a bicycle. When you get back into it, you don't skip a beat. And what I was going to say is, when I game, it even like when I listen to music, it just brings back old memories. And I remember as a teenager, we would pull all-nighters, and it only felt like you were playing for minutes, and next thing you know, it's 5-6 o'clock in the morning. When you game nowadays, does it bring you back to your beginning days at RPGs?
So yes and no, because I didn't do that much as a kid. I played from I was about 14 to 16 or something, and then a long hiatus, and then it was just in my mid to late 20s I started again. So that doesn't really take me back to my youth, and it doesn't take me back to my old RPG days, because, well, it kind of does. When I play it, especially when I play Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition, which I still have a game going off, it does take me back to the early days a little bit, but it's changed a lot now. The people that I play with has changed a lot in all those years, and the way that we play now has changed a lot over those years, with most of it going online and stuff. So now, when I was young, it was a brand new experience, and it was amazing, and it was sublime. I loved it. Now, I'm having a new experience because I'm discovering new RPGs. That's the thing. Like, back in the days, it was just D&D. Now I'm playing every game that someone puts in front of me, so it's all new again. And right now, I'm still in my glory, my heyday of it. So I don't feel like I'm going back to my heyday when I play it. I feel like I'm in the heyday right now. The amount of games that I'm playing and the quality of people that I'm playing with, I'm in my glory days, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you can see, you're all the way from Scotland, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
I'm here in Philadelphia, PA, United States, which brings me to my next question. The internet has changed the way we do everything today.
Everything.
I mean, if you back in the day, you're writing pen pals letters. Now here I am with a gentleman all the way from the opposite side of the world, and it's changed. It's changed the way we do everything, even including RPGs today. Which at the beginning you're playing tabletop, now you're playing streaming. So my question to you is, what do you prefer? Do you prefer online gaming, or do you like the old style of tabletop?
This was one of your questions I thought about the most, Johnny.
And I think it's a great question.
It's a great question, and I've got hopefully a good answer for you. I love to play around the table. Everybody's going to say that's the better option. Everybody knows it's better round the table, rolling dice, the sound they make on a real table, pizza, the smell of the pizza, sharing bags of chips with your friends, food,
Yes.
drinks, if you're into drinks, whatever. That whole thing cannot be replicated. Let's not be mistaken, you can't replicate that online. I come pretty close with the quality of people that I play with, but you can't replicate that. And I still get to do that once a month. But here's the thing, right? Since it went online, I get to play 3-4 times a week. So I can't say one's better than the other, because the online thing gives me so much opportunity to play. And also, since I now put content on YouTube, it's got an audience of more than the 5 people that are playing. And, I get more than 5 views, so obviously more than the 5 people playing do appreciate it. So the funny moments and the cool moments are shared with more people when you play online, if you do what I do. So playing it online is a great thing. It's revolutionised it. There's some amazing virtual tabletops out there. There's some amazing things you can do with them. Shout out to Foundry. I'm still asking for that sponsorship. Hit me up. You are the best. Going online is the best thing that's happened to it. It has its downsides as well. So I feel this might be my controversial opinion for the interview. So let's go in with a controversial opinion. I don't pull punches, Johnny. So I feel like
Let's keep it real.
Yeah, let's keep it real, right? So the moving of it online has massively increased the popularity, and a lot of people have gotten into it online as their first experience. The problem is, it is a game that requires some level of social skill, and not everybody that's getting into the game has that level of social skill. Before, to get a game, you had to have half a dozen friends, and you had to be able to organise half a dozen friends and be able to be in a room with half a dozen people at the same time. And I think a lot of people who are just used to doing everything online don't have the same social skill sets as the generation before. And now not everybody, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying a generation sucks, but I'm saying there's a lot of people that got into it through that boom that might not have the social skills that more experienced players have, or people that got into it round a table in a room with people. They might not have the same social skill sets, and you don't have the best playing experience with these people. And since it first went online, I've played with a lot of people who have not enjoyed playing with. That's been the downside of it. Nowadays, I get to pick and choose who I play with. So I've cut that out.
Yep.
But initially when it went online, I found there was a lot of people who I just did not enjoy playing with. I wouldn't play with again and didn't. So that's the downside of online, is I think a lot of people got into it that weren't really ready to be doing it, didn't have a social skill set to be doing it. And I mean, I don't want to deny anybody the fun of having the game, but like, that people should remember there's like a social element to it. You are still interacting with people, even if we do it online. So I've had some bad interactions with people online. It's not soured me from doing it. As you can see, I do it all the time online. 95% of it's online. So here's the thing. In conclusion, I can't pick a favourite, right? Everyone knows playing around the table is better. You cannot replicate the smell of pizza and beer and the sound of those dice rolling on the wooden table, but I play 3 or 4 times a week because of online. Playing online is a great thing, so I'm 50-50. I can't pick what's better for you, Johnny. Now, that might be an unpopular opinion, because everybody, I think, would just go straight in with, it's better around the table. But if I only played round the table, I would only play once a month. So,
You know, I appreciate both of your questions, or your answers, and I agree with both of them. One of the things that you had mentioned about being able to socialize with certain people, and now I kind of bring that into when you and I had first met, and I had asked questions about joining your guys' streaming system, and you said you wanted to do an interview process, which makes 100%, because I could have just been totally out in left field with no glove, and you're like, nah, we're not bringing this guy on. You know what I mean?
Exactly it, Johnny. Yeah, because I now do it online for an audience, I now vet who I play with. I just like if you're coming on my channel, I need to make sure that you look and sound good first of all. Your background looks good, and do you know what I mean? Like you don't have a robot voice, you don't have a really crappy setup. First of all, I'm not interested in playing with you. You need to sound good and look good. I like to play on camera, I like to look at people's faces. So I do vet people that I play with on my online stuff. The stuff that I produce for my channel, I do vet players. And now, and like I say, I've gotten rid of the element of having to play with people that aren't great socially, because I have a bigger community now where, and I'm interacting in many communities of RPG players online. It's online that's done this, and I've met enough people now that I can pick and choose who I play with.
Yeah, when it comes to actually gaming, I've ran across different styles of players myself. Some that are just the hard chargers that, you know, when you come upon a scene, it's just like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's get it over with. Then you have your players that want to look at every nook and cranny, right? They really truly want to do the investigative side of it, which sometimes, if you're playing on a maybe a time based game, where next thing you know, you've been on one scenario for like 2 hours. What kind of player is Oliver?
Right, okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about me, Johnny. Sometimes I drink, sometimes I don't drink. Currently off it for health purposes, right? But sometimes I drink a lot, and I'm totally reckless when I have a few beers. So I'm definitely more on the hard charge side. But even playing sober, right, I have found that I'm not that good at the investigative side of games. I'm just not that smart. I love the action. I don't mind dying if it's going to be cool. I like that Blaze of Glory. I like that Leroy Jenkins. Yeah, I'm definitely that hard charge player. Like, I try to be the investigative player, especially because I play a lot of Call of Cthulhu, which is an investigative game. Stop making me say this word, Johnny. I hate it. I cannot do it. Investigative. There we go. So yeah, it's Call of Cthulhu, investigative game, and I play it a lot. And I try to be that kind of player when I play that, sometimes. And because I play a lot of one-shots and we have pre-gen characters, a lot of the times I'll be given a character that it doesn't make sense for them to play like that. So I'll play the reserved or the shy or all the different types of characters, the investigative character. But my favourite, I think, is the hard charge, the action hero. I think that's why I love Pulp Cthulhu so much.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm very lucky in my current game of all my Pulp Cthulhu current games, because I'm playing 3. I'm very lucky that my characters are not dead, because I'm a hard charge character in all of them. And that's one of my favourite games is Pulp Cthulhu, and that's when the hard charge character archetype just really works, and I have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, I'm that guy. I'm the Leroy Jenkins. Sorry guys.
Yeah, I honestly didn't think of any of these questions. And again, we mentioned that we didn't know if there was going to be a roll-off question. But so you mentioned the kind of player character that you are. Let me ask you this. If you're playing with somebody who may be that little bit more investigative thing, outside of character, how does that make you feel? Like, do you feel like you're kind of wasting time? Do you feel like you like kind of like
No.
that ADHD, like you want to
Oh,
jump out of your shell? Like, Jesus,
no.
guys,
No,
it's over with.
absolutely not. No, I'm grateful for that investigative player who's like, because when nobody else thinks of nothing, that's when I'm just going to do something stupid. So I'm very grateful for the clever investigative player because
I love it.
they keep me grounded, and I'll just sit back and wait and try and let them do something clever, because maybe they are going to do something clever and that's going to solve the scenario. It's when they run out of ideas, that's when I'm going to get stupid. So yeah, no, I love that player. I will give them time to talk. I'm not sitting like, oh come on, hurry up, hurry up. No, I'm not like that. I want that guy to have his chance because he's got a better chance of solving the scenario than I do probably. So yeah, I love that guy.
It's like playing in game. You're like the rest of the guys like, make sure we keep him in a corner. Let's do this, but yo, you be over there.
Got a question for you actually. I've just thought of one. What do you think? What do you think of a rules lawyer?
A rules lawyer. So here's my opinion on that. I think sometimes if you go strictly by the book, sometimes you can take the fun out of the game. I think if you become inventive, and I think if you let the game just play out and you let the characters and players have fun, I think it makes for a more exciting and a lot better experience. Especially if and you think about this, bringing on new players into the game that never played role playing, and you might want to bring new people in. So if you're always playing, yeah, if you're always playing by the rules and like there is no stretch in the rules, it might not be interesting to some people like you and I that have been playing for a while. You know what I mean?
So yeah, that's a very good point actually. I was going to say that I like a rules lawyer, and I think every table should have one, but the right kind of rules lawyer, someone that knows the rules and will like be like, oh wait, now actually I think you've got that rule mixed up, and just so that the game stays balanced, so people don't make mistakes. Sometimes you might have a dungeon master that doesn't know the rules so well, and you'll have a player in their game that knows the rules a lot better. I think that game really values that player. They bring great value to that game. Shout out to my friend Izzy, who's an amazing rules lawyer. She's absolutely amazing, and every game should have an Izzy because she's like, no, well, actually, and she remembers the rule right, and the game stays balanced and it works better with it. I think the right kind of rules lawyer is a good thing in a game. Shout out to Izzy, she's amazing.
No, and you do have to have the rules. And I didn't mean on that aspect where you can have rules. Now, evidently, absolutely, you have to have rules.
I think what people call a rules lawyer is maybe different from what I call a rules lawyer. When I think of a rules lawyer, I think of someone that knows the rules really well and will remember them and use them right. I think lawyer might be the wrong word because people are used to lawyers arguing the rules. I don't like someone that's going to argue the rules with the dungeon master. It's the dungeon master's game. But I do like someone that will remind the dungeon master or remind the other players, oh, by the way, your character can do this, or by the way, actually this. And I've got a player in some of my games who's absolutely fantastic at it, and I think the right kind of rules lawyer is an amazing thing in every game. I've got other friends from tabletop games who are really great with rules, and I love having them at the table.
The ultimate question, I'm sure everybody wants to hear RX Oliver say.
Right.
Does he prefer being a DM? Or does he prefer being a player?
Oh, easy, flat out player. It's easy. No hesitation. I'm not as good a DM as I am a player. Like I said, I'm not the most creative person. I'm funny. So I do make a good player. I'm fun. I bounce off other people's energy, so I'm a much better player. I interact with people well. I have great social skills. So I can bounce off people. I can meet people even in real life that I've never met before and have great interactions with them and have a great game. Personally, I think I'm a good player. I think I'm a great player, actually. People tell me I'm a great player, so I need to remind myself more. I used to think I was an okay player, but then I'm playing on all these channels and in all these groups with really great GMs and players, and then people are now telling me I love playing with you, and I'm like, so I must be a great player. I know I'm not a great DM. I know I'm not a great DM because I know that everything's stolen. Nothing's an original idea, or the original ideas are just the funny bits. My jokes are good. In my homebrew campaign that I do, I've homebrewed a world. I have a setting with gods and with everything, with politics and religion and races and everything that a world has, and I've created that from scratch. But most of it isn't really original ideas. The dwarfs are really stereotyped dwarfs, and the elves are very stereotyped elves. Nothing really original. They're Tolkien elves, they're Tolkien dwarfs, they're D&D goblins, they're D&D orcs, they're, you know what I mean. I've not created much with it. It was a chance for me and my friends to play D&D, and it just kept going. That world has kept going. I have a big pink folder over there before it even went online. It's about that thick with this world in it. And I do enjoy being a DM, and I'm proud of my game that I've built and the world that I've built. But 60% of that world building was done by players. It wasn't done by me. I'm a very bang average DM who's lucky to have some great players in that game. So it's a great game. It's a fantastic game. I've got some really amazing players in it. So that's the homebrew campaign. If you are going to check out my channel, that's the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd Edition campaign. That's the really pretty much about the only thing you'll see me running currently. You might see me run a little bit of 5th edition, which I'm learning, just to be down with the kids, you know. Current edition and that. I play it, so I should learn the rules. So I've ran a couple of one-shots in that, but I'm not good, not at all. I Google easy to run one-shots, easy for DM one-shot when I do 5th edition. I tried to run Call of Cthulhu a couple of times. We did manage to finish the scenario, but I got every rule wrong. No, I much prefer being a player because I'm much better at it, Johnny. Yeah, I'm a 6 as a DM. I'd say I'm a 6 as a player. I'm a 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, rolling into your being a DM as a 6, what would be your favorite part as being a DM? What's your favorite part about it?
Easy. When people have fun in my game. And this was affirmed for me recently by producing videos for YouTube and doing the editing. And I used to sometimes get down when no one watched the videos, right? I'm like, oh, it's got really low views, no one likes my D&D game, and get a little bit down about it. So what I do when I get down about that is I watch the videos with the sound off, Johnny. And I watch the smiles and the laughs on these people's faces, and I'm like, they are having fun. This is a great game. So the best thing about being a DM for me is the smiles on other people's faces when they have fun with something that I've created for them. When I can make other people have fun, that's the best thing about being a DM. Yeah, easy. Everyone's going to say that, I think.
Yeah. Well, Alfred, I want to thank you for taking the time
Thank you.
to sit down with me. I know there's a huge time difference between you and I. Again, it's been a pleasure and an honor meeting you, and I've had the honor of playing with you once so far. Hopefully, I can looking forward to that Star Wars adventure. But
I know, man. January, we are booked in for that Star Wars adventure, I think.
I hope Max hooks it up to where I'm not working or
we'll work it out.
It's tough for me and for most people who haven't met me on your channel before. Just with my profession, it's tough for me. I work shift work, so it's really tough for me.
We've not had as much chances to play together as we would have liked yet, Johnny, but that we're going to resolve that in 2024, absolutely, especially starting the Star Wars campaign, and there's many other things coming. You know how many games I've got starting all the time, so we'll have plenty of chances to play together. I want to thank you for doing this, Johnny. This is something really cool. I've never been interviewed about RPGs before, so thanks very much for doing this. I really appreciate you. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, so if anybody is watching this, hopefully you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel, Johnny Belize. And Oliver, I'm sure you have a YouTube channel if you want to let everybody know.
I'm sure I do, yeah. The name is RX Oliver. You'll see it below me. It's nice and easy to find. I am on Twitch, but currently I don't have the upload speed at the house where I'm living, so I'm not streaming just now. So check out YouTube for all the content. And check out Discord as well. You'll find a link for the Discord in the comments on this video or in the description of this video.
And again, if you're out there and you're an avid RPG player, or you're just even new getting into the game, if you're interested in telling everybody your story about the evolution of RPG, just hit me up and I'll be there waiting.